So what are these cognitions? These are mental processes on how we get knowledge and understanding. It's basically the way our brain thinks and perceives, remembers, but we can narrow it down to our thoughts. And here's the key. Your thoughts trigger your emotions, which control your actions. Did you catch that? It all comes back to our thoughts, our cognitions. So basically, cognitions are thoughts or mental representations that form the basis of our behavior and feelings and actions. Let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Welcome back to Maximize Your Influence. Kurt Mortensen here. Glad to have you for podcast 578 as we take a deep dive into cognitions, into thoughts, into self-persuasion, into our mindset. This is the software to your hardware. Because think of a computer. You could have the best hardware, the best computer, but if it doesn't have the right software to run it, it's not going to do anything. And the same thing's true with you. It's the thing that everyone tends to work on last. And I'm guilty too. I remember going to those seminars, these millionaires talking about vision, mindset, goal setting, your thoughts. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, heard that before. Give me the tools. And then going out in the world, realize it wasn't happening for me till the day I realized those are the tools, the most important tools, and the tools that everyone tends to work on last. So we're going to get into cognitions, we're going to get into mindset, success psychology, self-persuasion to help take your life, your income, every aspect of your life to the next level. So let's get into the blunder of the week. Don't! This goes to me. This was in Alabama. I'm not going to name the company. There was a big seminar. It was a full-day training. And the first blunder is I've been diagnosed with RBF. And when I'm setting up, getting things, people are coming in, getting things ready, I don't look very happy. They're like, oh, we've got an angry instructor today. So that was blunder number one. So that's one thing I'm working on. And then even worse, the HR director came in. I did put the smile on for that. She sat down, was taking notes. We had talked before, and I had to move a chair. It was up front, and I didn't want it there, so I was just moving things around. It was set up pretty good, but I always like it just right. And I clipped the top of her head with the chair and hit it, and she screamed. Not a good start of the day. My fault. Strike two, RBF, hitting people with chairs. Eventually we got through it, but that was not a good first impression. Hey, the cement dries fast on a first impression. You've got to make sure you have that good first impression. I'm still working on it. 2 strikes on that first impression for me. But again, that cement dries fast. I mean, you can rip out the cement, change the first impression, but it's a lot of work. You might as well make the first impression the first time the right way. That is the key. So what are your first impressions? What are people thinking of you? Do you have the RBF like me? That's the frowny, resting brat face, we'll call it, where you look like you're mad. In fact, go to the archives. I did a whole podcast on RBF and smiling and the psychology of smiling. Hey, a smile in retail increases sales 20%. And if you can get them to smile, it releases the right chemicals, making them easier to persuade and influence. So I will take the blunder first impression. Again, that cement dries fast. Which brings us to our geeky Scarly article. A foolproof way to boost your productivity. Now, I've done the podcast on time management productivity, but they're talking about using chapters, explain that in a second, is a surefire way to become more productive. I mean, who doesn't want to accomplish more? This is from Forbes.com, Psychology Today, and Dr. Mark Travers. All these links will be available at MaximizeYourInfluence.com or in your email. Go there to take your free Persuasion IQ assessment and find out more about InfluenceUniversity.com. So they were looking at how the brain was organizing daily events. So they found we use mental templates or scripts to form narratives of these events. They said these scripts are like library patterns that help us predict and make sense of what's happening around us. For example, we know what usually happens in a restaurant. You walk in, you get a seat, you get a menu, you eat, you pay. That's most restaurants. So a study done by Current Biology found that our brains can divide time into meaningful sections or chapters. Because our brains don't just passively respond to the world around us, they actively organize events based on what we're paying attention to and what we already know. So the researchers found that routines can play an important role in achieving coherence and meaning. They often align with our important goals, such as daily exercise or completing tasks at work. Even though routines feel monotonous, they help you move towards your goals, your objectives. The study also showed reframing routine activities like going for a walk or grocery shopping as intentional chapters can boost motivation. For instance, your morning workout can be your wellness chapter, and going to the grocery store can be your self-nourishment chapter. Also, designing your day around energy peaks and lows, aligning your chapters to your energy cycles. I've talked about this before, where we all have a 4-hour block during the day where cognitively, mentally, we're the sharpest. That's the chapter to do the most important activities or the harder activities that take a lot of bandwidth in your brain. So if we can organize our day around our meaningful goals, around chapters, that provides a powerful framework for organizing your day, enhancing your focus, and reducing stress, and you become more productive. Something to think about as we want to be more successful and more productive in our lives. Which brings us to listener email.
Oh boy!
This is Amanda from Oregon in the United States. She says, Kurtz, what's the difference between cognitive dissonance and cognitive diffusion? Well, Amanda, cognitive dissonance, that's one of the 12 laws of persuasion and maximum influence. And it is very different than cognitive diffusion. I mean, they both are wrapped around thoughts and why we do what we do. Basically, cognitive dissonance is a rubber band inside us that stretches when we hold two contradictory beliefs, values, or ideas. Those are cognitions. And cognitive dissonance, the law of persuasion, helps you gently stretch someone's rubber band, help them realize that they have conflicting beliefs or values, to help motivate them to make a decision. This was created by Leon Festinger at Stanford, the cognitive dissonance theory. Basically, we can't be inconsistent. We have this internal conflict when we have two conflicting beliefs. We've made two conflicting promises. The brain cannot live with that. You know, you want to be a healthy person, but you like to eat fast food. Oh, it won't matter today. I'll start eating healthy next week. You love to smoke. Smoking's bad for your health. That could conflict. Shouldn't text and drive, but this is a really important one. I'm a better driver than most. Oh, no, you shouldn't steal, but I got to try that grape at the supermarket to make sure it's okay. We can't live with those conflicting beliefs. Some people will say, nope, that's stealing, not going to eat the grape. Some people might just adjust or amend the belief. Well, you know, that's okay. Everyone does it at the supermarket with that grape. Or you might even come up with a new belief. You could eat one, that's okay, two stealing. Our brain has a way to get past these inconsistencies. So that's just a quick review of cognitive dissonance. It is a powerful, a little more complex law of persuasion, understanding human nature. I mean, if you stretch the rubber band too far, back someone into a corner, it's going to snap at you and they're going to get mad at you and probably attack you verbally or make it your fault. That happens with dissonance. Now, that's completely different than cognitive diffusion. So this comes from ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy. It involves distancing oneself from those unhelpful, negative, intrusive thoughts that we all get and recognizing them as just an event, something that happened, something that popped in your brain rather than an absolute truth. You have to realize a lot of your thoughts in your brain that pop in there aren't true, aren't going to happen, you shouldn't be worrying about, but they're there. Because you can get into a downward spiral. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm always a failure. I blew it here. And so we back up with cognitive diffusion and look at thoughts objectively, not real, not truth. And when you can do that, it reduces their emotional impact, which reduces their impact on your behavior. your actions. So this allows people to align with their values rather than be driven by these automatic negative thoughts and reacting to those thoughts. So this cognitive diffusion helps people see thoughts as these transient things. They just happen. They're not factual. And they can separate themselves from those thoughts, like I'm a failure, it's not going to work out, I'm not good at public speaking, I'm not a people person. All these negative thoughts can have that downward spiral. Remember, those thoughts, those negative thoughts, can trigger emotions, which trigger actions. For example, I help corporate executives with their persuasive presentation, and they have fear. Fear of public speaking is a major fear. So what happens before the presentation? And what if I blow it? What if I'm a failure? What if they walk out? All these negative thoughts, which aren't true, hasn't even happened. I mean, they could happen, but they haven't. So all these negative thoughts, then that produces more worry, more fear, which comes across in your actions. So you want to change your actions, you want to change your motivation, you got to change your thoughts. And cognitive diffusion is a way to do that. So basically, you're creating a psychological distance between all these thoughts and their influence on you. So being aware of your thoughts can really make you more successful, happier, instead of dwelling on these thoughts you're thinking as facts. Now, if we back up here, no thought in your mind can reside rent-free. I mean, every thought has a consequence. Now, I'm not saying you can control your thoughts, but I am saying you can redirect your thoughts and be more aware of your thoughts. Unsuccessful people have a thought and they water it. They feed it. Successful people weed it. Are you feeding it or weeding it? They take it out. They replace it with a different thought, with something different. And cognitive diffusion can do that to help you be aware that your thoughts are things, but they're not necessarily true things. So cognitive diffusion teaches you like, I just had a thought that I'm a failure. That's interesting. That's not true. I've had this success, this success, this success. So I just had a thought. It's that simple. I just had a thought I'm going to blow this presentation. Well, I didn't last time, and there's no reason. The audience is supporting me. They want to be here. I've practiced. I can do this. That's an interesting thought. That changes the sting and what that does to you and your actions. So what this cognitive diffusion does is that it reduces the emotional impact. So people can respond to that situation in a calm, rational manner instead of those knee-jerk reactions. It helps people focus on their values and goals, which makes decision-making easier, gives it more clarity, and you become more resilient because you're distancing yourself from these self-critical, noxious, anxious thoughts that are pulling you down. As a persuader, you can help manage your doubts, your anxieties, right? The fear of rejection. Oh, they might reject me. I just had a thought. I don't know that I haven't talked to them yet. And it puts things into perspective. So this reduces your preoccupation on your thoughts, gives them less sting and validity. They're probably not even true. So the way to apply this for you is to label your thoughts as thoughts. When you say to yourself, well, I'm not persuasive enough, mentally label it as, I'm having a thought that I'm not persuasive enough. Well, I closed 3 sales yesterday. I had this success. It's just a thought. It's not real. It's not even true. Maybe you say, well, it could be true, but we don't even know yet. I've got to go see if they're going to reject me or not. That's part of the sales process. Some people like to use the I'm noticing statements. So you could add, I'm noticing I'm having a thought, or, I'm having a thought, whatever works for you. This reduces the emotional attachment to that thought. And then just think of those thoughts as passing clouds. They're just kind of going through, drifting in and out. They have different shapes and sizes. Some are positive, some are negative. They will pass. Many people like to use humor to diffuse thoughts. Well, that's silly. That's lame. Geez, my brain's telling me I'm going to mess this up. Thanks, brain. A lot of people like to put a name on it. Well, thanks, Lucifer. Or use the name of the bully you had growing up. Okay, Biff. Whatever it is, sometimes name it. Nice try, Biff. Not going to work. I'm not falling for that trap. So you can label it brain. Oh, my brain's telling me, or name it. That's very helpful for some people. I've even seen some people change the voice to Mickey Mouse to where okay, that's silly. That changes the meaning. Again, if you can understand your thoughts and what it does to your emotions, and how it affects your actions, it makes a huge difference. You do you. That's cognitive diffusion. That's what successful people do. Remember, weed or feed. Are you feeding these thoughts? Yeah, probably will fail. Yeah, that probably will go wrong versus weed it out. You can't control your thoughts. Remember, the clouds just passing. They're going to happen. It's what you do with them. You can redirect it to something more positive. Or, well, that's silly. That's not going to happen. Thanks for that, Biff. That's interesting. I just noticed I had a thought on. Because now your thoughts are on the right track. You're going to have healthier emotions, have more motivation in your actions. So that's how you can use it in your personal life. How can you use this in persuasion? Well, basically, you can use it to create a positive environment where your prospect feels safe, that they're not feeling attacked. They don't need to get defensive. They know that you accept them no matter what. Empathy comes into play here. And as you can do that, you can foster openness, and it keeps the door open for persuasion. For example, if you're trying to persuade someone to join your health club, they've failed 3, 4, 5 times before. These diets have failed, right? These are thoughts that they're having. You can take them down a different path, show a little empathy, give them a little hope so they can kind of step back from these entrenched beliefs and thoughts that they're having and get a different perspective. Also, you can use social validation. Other people in the same situation, they failed. They tried this, it didn't work. But now this new program, whatever it is, worked. They're now more successful, making more money, healthier, whatever your thing is. When they can see other people do it, that can diffuse some of their own thoughts and beliefs. And then sometimes you just want to be open about it as a persuader. Hey, I notice you're thinking that this might not work. Let's explore that. Let's talk about that and consider what would happen if we tried a new approach, did something different. So they're not dominating the conversation with their negativity. Those thoughts might fail, could fail, will fail. Because we know in persuasion and influence that they have to see it mentally before it happens physically. So if mentally they're talking about all the negative, it's not going to work, it's going to fail, I've tried it before, they're not going to do it. But if they can see themselves doing it, see other people doing it, now all of a sudden it becomes more real. And now once they've seen it mentally, they can say yes, and it will happen physically. Because remember, your mind's just trying to protect you. That's all it's doing. Trying to keep you out of those situations where you might have rejection or failure or get embarrassed. It just tries to protect you. And you can say, hey, thanks for that. I appreciate that. But I got this, Mr. Brain Biff, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for trying to protect me. I've got this. We're going to make this happen. I appreciate your perspective, but you know what? I've prepared. I'm ready. I've got this. I'm going to do it. And that's another final one I'll add is preparation. The more prepared you are, the fear erodes away. Those negative thoughts erode away. And that might be the tool for you. You could also follow Dr. Cuddy, Cuddy from Harvard. A little controversial. Maybe you've seen her TED Talk on power poses. She says the opposites are true. Remember, thoughts control emotions, emotions control actions. She says actions can change your emotions and emotions can change your thoughts. So she does the power poses, right? Hands on your hips, Wonder Woman. Hands above your head in the victory pose. Supposedly releases chemicals and can change those emotions and give you more positive thoughts. Hey, if it works, do it. Go for it. I wouldn't do it in public. But hey, take what works for you and do it. So cognitive diffusion is a powerful tool for managing thoughts, being a little more flexible, helps you in your persuasion, helps you in your self-persuasion, your mindset, your motivation. Use these techniques. It'll increase your confidence as a persuader. It'll reduce audience resistance. It'll let you control, or let me say redirect your thoughts. You'll have better emotions, better motivation, and it'll make a huge difference in your success. Detach yourself from those limiting beliefs, detach yourself from those negative thoughts, and you'll be amazed that you'll be having more positive emotions, more motivation, and you're going to accomplish a lot more and be, like I talked about earlier, more productive. So there you have it. That's podcast 578. Make sure you subscribe for our weekly newsletter. The podcast will be in there with all the links. We'll continue with the special 101 sales hacks. Actually, there's more than 120, but it's just 3-4 minutes, one a day. Here's the tool, here's the science, here's how you apply it to add more tools in your toolbox. Check that out. The link's at maximizeyourinfluence.com and in your email. Take something you learned today, be more productive, control those thoughts, understand cognitive diffusion, understand how your software is controlling your hardware, become a better person, become more motivated, become a better influencer, and go out and persuade with power.